and welcome to the Pace of San Diego. I'm your host, Angel Alvarez. Today we're going to learn about a group of volunteers known as Maega. This group was formed 50 years ago by Don Latham. Mr. Latham had met a young Latino student who he knew was destined for college, but when he talked to the young man about it, he learned the boy wouldn't be going to college because his parents could not afford to send him. Don decided to do something about it, and as a result, he started Maega, which is the Mexican American Educational Guidance Association. Here today to help us learn more about this group is Ana Valles, who is the president of the group, and Linda Grinstead, who is the scholarship chairwoman. Welcome you both. Let's get started.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this group, a couple of things that have come out of our discussions. We met once at Starbucks and had a discussion on what we would talk about, and so I've got a series of questions, but I've learned some new things from attending the presentation that you had a couple weeks ago for all of the students receiving their scholarships this year, which I found fascinating. I thought it was a great production. Overall, the group has been in existence for about 50 years.
Almost 52.
So 1970, 71 in that area? Okay.
Correct.
And Anna, you were an early recipient?
Yes.
Don't want to give your age away, but when you received, there were only 3 students that received scholarships.
That's right.
Okay. This past season, there were 42 students
Correct.
that received. So that's like 14 times as many. How does, well, I'm not sure, Linda, whether I need to put the question to you or to you, Anna. How do you go about getting people to put a scholarship together?
That's a really good question. Fortunately for Maega, because we've been in existence 52 years, and I think because we're local, I think the fact that we have, 50% of our donors that have given since the beginning, since the 70s, since the 80s, and they continue to give to us every year. But we've been able to engage folks in our mission, in what we do through our events, our fundraising events, and word of mouth, frankly. I think that that's also helped to bring additional donors to the table. We've created a system where we personalize the scholarships. I think folks are interested in that. So that, for example, if you wanted to give a scholarship in the name honoring a parent that had passed, we would do our best to make sure we find a student that meets the criteria that you might set up to do that. If you prefer that the student be from one particular high school, then we would do our best to try to choose from that high school. If you say that your mother was a nurse, we would do our best to find a student who we feel is pursuing nursing. And so I think that's what I think our donors like, that personal touch. They like the personal touch of meeting the students, finding out where they're going, finding out how motivated they are. I think they all like that. And I think the real key here is that 99% of everything that comes in to Maega each year goes right back out the door in terms of scholarships. So it's a grassroots organization. We're all volunteers. There's no overhead. The only thing we might have is like postage that we might have to pay for. But apart from all that, when you know that 99% of what you give to an organization is going right back out to its mission, that means a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I remember attending one of your board meetings, and I was told then that everybody that was there was a volunteer, and I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Of course, we're a volunteer organization here too as well, but to see what you guys are able to do was utterly amazing. So one of the things you just mentioned was that if I were to decide to do a scholarship, I could designate the kind of field that I wanted that student to be going into, and then that student would then be selected.
Right.
Okay, so now to you, Linda.
Yes.
Since you're the chairperson for the chairwoman, for the scholarships, so how many people do you have working with you to determine who's going to get, and do you then your committee decides who's going to get the scholarship and
yes,
which of the
yes,
scholarships they're going to get?
Yeah, currently there are, the nice thing is that people want to be on the scholarship committee. We had 5, and since our gala, a couple of board members approached me and said, you know what, I'd like to be on the board as well. So now we have 7. And what we do is once we have collected all of the applications from all 5 high schools in our district, then we go ahead and make sure all the members receive those, and there's a read-through. And so that's, it's a wonderful committee that I chair, and I love it. And they come to my house, and we do a read-through. Right now, how people are qualified or disqualified, students, I'm saying qualified or disqualified, is primarily income. And we have set a cap on income. And so, very few kids are turned away.
So, okay.
It's very inclusive, sorry.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so 2 things that you just said that I want to hit on. First of all, so there, see, I thought there was only just the one high school.
Oh, no,
But
no,
you
no.
do from 5 high schools.
Yes.
In the district.
It's the San Dieguito Union High School District.
Ah, okay.
And
okay.
so-
That's different than what I thought.
No. So it goes from Canyon Crest Academy, Torrey Pines High School, San Dieguito High School Academy, La Costa Canyon High School, and Sunset.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there's 5 schools.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
so that blows that one out of the water, because I was thinking there's only one high school. So.
No.
Okay, now it was established as the Mexican American Educational Guidance Association. Now, in the 70s, that probably would have been pretty much the Latino population, because it would have been primarily Mexican Americans. But now we have Central Americans, we have
Correct.
South Americans.
Correct.
So, is there any? What would you say is the percentage of? And I guess it doesn't really matter. I was going to say of Mexican American kids as opposed to, or does that even come into effect anymore? Is that really important? Do you care?
The majority are still Latinx students.
So, yeah, but they could be from.
But
Central
they can
America
be
or South
from,
America.
what I tell the kids when I go to the high schools to advertise the application, I say from El Rio Grande hasta Tierra del Fuego.
Okay.
So,
From the top all the way to the very, very bottom.
all the way to the bottom, yeah.
Okay.
And yes, most of the students who apply do have Mexican roots. But more and more, Ernie, we're getting students who are mixed. My mother is from Guatemala. My dad is from Mexico. My mom is from Peru. My dad is from
Wherever.
Belen, wherever, yeah.
Okay, so that makes a difference. So, and then to establish a scholarship, is there a minimum? If I were to say I want to establish one in my parents' name, so so I can't start one for $20 or $100. So it has to be.
I'll speak to that. Yeah. So if you want a named scholarship, honoring a loved one who had passed, then we are setting that at 1,000. However, if you wanted to give us 500, we would say to you, we would definitely use it in terms of scholarships for the following year, but it might not be a named scholarship. What we've done to this point is for all those folks who've been giving 500 for the last 20 years, we really want to honor their commitment and the long-term commitment to this organization. So what Maega does is we match, we add to it. So if in a given year we decide we're going to give 1,500 to every single student, and you gave us 500 for the last 20 years, we're going to add 1,000 to that to make it a $1,500 scholarship. And luckily, we were able to do that again this year to add to folks who've been giving less than 1,000, less than 1,500. We're adding to all those scholarships because we have so many generous donors who just write checks for 200, 300, whatever. So we're able to give more. Yeah.
Okay. So this go around, you had 42 students, and I counted the scholarships, the actual number of scholarships, and there was only 31. So that means there are some of those that are giving enough money that you can give it to multiple students.
Exactly.
So it isn't
Exactly.
just one student per scholarship that
Correct.
you get. We
Right.
get some that give multiples.
And we're really good with our donors. We have donors who say, I'm going to give you $3,000. Can you give 3 scholarships out? Well, this year, if someone did that, I asked, can we do 2 scholarships at $1,500? So we always go back to the donors and ask them. Donor intent is so important. We have a gal who's given $10,000 to us every year for the last 8 years. She told me, do whatever you want. Give as many scholarships as you want. Put the next to your renewals from last year. We don't care. Just give it to the kids. So,
Okay, and that's another thing. You just said the magic word. So it is not just high school graduates who are going into the first year of college to get it. But then if the student still has a need, they might get a second or a third year.
Second.
second
Or
only.
just only the second,
Second
year.
year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're renewing to this. So students who received a scholarship last year can qualify, can apply for a renewal scholarship the following year.
Okay,
Yes.
but that one is not as much as the first one.
That's right.
Correct.
Okay. So it
So I tell the kids, when we go to the high schools to advertise the application, we do mention that depending on the generosity of our donors, we will support you for your second year. And I do give them the caveat. It probably won't be as much as your first year, but by this time, when you're a sophomore, you have some ability to find more money somewhere else. And in January, I tell the kids, in January, you're going to get a letter from me saying, I hope your year is going well. If you would like to apply for a renewal, these are the 2 things that we need. And it's really basic. And I did explain to one of the kids that night at the reception that a little personal statement of how your first year went and an unofficial copy of your transcript. That's it.
Now, is there a required GPA then for second year students? Do they have to-
Usually, Ernie, they're crushing it. They are on the dean's list. They have started clubs. They're shakers and movers, Ernie. They are doing so beautifully that I think
you don't have to
maybe
worry about it.
I don't worry about it at all. I go, yeah, you didn't do so well in this as I look at the transcript. But for the most part, they're amazing. Amazing.
Okay, I want to ask you because we had talked about this before, and you were a guidance counselor.
Correct.
For high school for many years.
Middle school and high school.
Oh, middle school
Yeah.
and high school.
Yeah.
Okay. How were you able to apply that to what you're doing now? Or do you find it makes it easier, makes it harder?
It makes it so much easier, Ernie, because I love to be with the kids. At this point, I need to tell you that I've been in this business long enough that I was the teacher of many of these students' parents.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and so I look forward to seeing the parents because they know that I was their middle school teacher back at Earl Warren or Oak Crest. Those were my 2 schools.
You just
That's
warm your heart.
incredible, yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
so if you've been around as long as I have, and San Diego Union High School District is my career school district. I never went anywhere else.
Wow.
Just stayed right there.
So it means a great deal to you.
It means a great deal to me, and like I say, I'm being redundant, but I'm saying that nothing pleases me more than to go, what is your last name? Did your student go, did your mom and dad go to wherever? And they go, yeah, I was his teacher.
Wow. Wow, that would be interesting.
It's fun. It's fun.
Okay, Anna, now a little bit about you. I was thinking about you the other day, and I thought, well, you're what I call a triple threat because you, first of all, were a recipient, and then now you're the president of the organization. Your mother was very heavily involved and just received a lifetime award for all of her work.
That's right.
Because she was one of the early promoters and founders with Tony and his wife and Don Latham, and your mom did a lot of the cooking for the
Fundraising
for
events.
the fundraisers
Yes.
that you had. How has Maega, I hate to say impacted your life, because I know it has to have impacted your life greatly because of all the things that you do, but you're still working full time at a very strenuous job, and how are you able to do all that you do with Maega? Because you're an incredibly busy woman.
Well, thank you for the kind words. Couldn't do it without people like Linda. Couldn't do it without the board members that we have. And I think it's important right here and now that we say, up to about 2 years ago, do you know that the majority of our board members were septuagenarians, octogenarians?
Oh, wow.
Yes, we have a gentleman that's 102 right
Oh,
now.
my goodness.
Yes, who participated on our board till about last year. And his children came to our event to hand out his award. He's in a rehab center right now from an injury. But just think about that. When you're working with 70, 80, 90-year-old people, I mean, who are still there giving everything they can to really help you fulfill this mission, that keeps me going, that alone. And then in recent years, we've been able to recruit alumni. So now we've got a little bit of a shift. We had to, right? We had to make a little bit of a shift. Our treasurers were in their 90s. So we had to start thinking, okay, how do we get another treasurer on board? And I was able to recruit a young man who's an alumni, who's a CPA right now,
Oh, wow.
who agreed to be our treasurer. So it's just really great. Now, if you were to ask me what percentage of my board now are Maega alumni, I'd have to say 60%.
Yeah, that was another thing that I was going to ask you about, because that was one of the things I understood was that there's quite a few members on the board that are alumni. So those are people that have received the scholarships along the way. And then the other thing was, at the award ceremony the other day, there were 2 or 3 board members who had that were giving scholarships that were in their family names
Yes,
or whatever.
yes.
The majority of us.
Yeah.
So that's huge.
I was shocked. I
So-
thought, really? Oh my God, these people are volunteers and they're giving scholarships too?
So, and here's what everyone needs to know. This is a giving board. This is a giving board. So there's ownership there, right? Which is huge. You know, not only are you giving your time, you're giving your treasure.
Yeah.
It's just it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be able to work with all these folks. I can't tell you, everybody's got their own little niche and what they do for Maega. It's just wonderful what they can do, right? Some of our senior citizens, well, they're not as savvy with tech programs like some of our alumni, Instagram, social media platforms, but they can certainly sell tickets. They can certainly come and review scholarship applications, which they all do. So they're involved, they're engaged. And I think that's the key to any nonprofit's longevity, is to really engage folks, make sure they have some ownership in the organization. So, yeah.
The majority of students, and then I'll get on to something else that shocked me, but the majority of the students were going to 4-year universities. Majority of them were going to Cal State
San Marcos. Yeah.
Which was funny as heck, because Linda started doing that, you know, and he is going to Cal State, and then everyone would say San Marcos. So that was funny. And there were a few that were going to community college, Miracosta, but there was 2 students that I recall. One that was going to London Business School, and another young man who was going to St. Louis University in
Madrid. Yes.
Yeah, so you actually have students that are going international?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
This was kind of a first.
Oh, really? Oh,
Really. They've all been stateside so far. And these students, when they told me where they were going to go and where they had been accepted, I go, whoa.
yeah.
Oh my goodness, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because there was
So-
one young lady, and she was going to London,
Correct.
to the London Business School, and
Yes.
there was a young man who was going. I was curious, how did they even know about those schools or get accepted into those
Well,
schools? I thought that must be a really. I mean,
They
talk
have
about
they have connections, Ernie.
okay.
I don't know about the girl who's going to the Holt School, International Business School in London, but I do know that the gentleman who's going to St. Louis University in Madrid is going to live with an uncle who is in Madrid.
Okay.
And so he probably said,
Come
"Can
live
I?
with me and
Yeah, you come live with me, and we'll do stuff together." Yeah,
go to
Yeah.
college. Yeah, I know, but my gosh, to go to Madrid.
I know.
That was
And he
interesting.
wants to become a documentarian. He wants to make documentaries. The kid
my
does.
goodness.
Yeah.
And that he has to go to Madrid to learn how to do
Well,
that.
I guess.
Wow.
Well, St. Louis has a program. And just to answer
Yeah.
your
Oh, okay.
first question, colleges, universities are heavily recruiting
Yes.
all over the United States.
Oh,
One year, we had a group of students that were going to a tiny university in New York. How does that happen? Well, because all the recruiters were sent to the San Diego School District to try to recruit.
Really?
So
Yeah.
there you
I'll
go.
be darned.
Yes.
I'll be darned. So wow, that was a shock. I thought, wow, really? London School of Business and Madrid? Yeah, I guess so.
We've had others go to Harvard, Brown,
Well,
Notre
those
Dame.
those
Oh,
I
yeah.
could
Yeah,
accept, but
yeah,
these were
they're
international.
stateside.
I
These
thought,
are international,
I
yeah.
thought, wow, what does it take to get into the London School of Business? Man, you got to really, the GPA's got to be like 9.9 or something, right? To the scholarships, what is your primary criteria for selecting a student, and do they all would fill out an application?
Oh, yes,
So
it's-
if
it's-
my son wanted to go, he would have to fill out an application, and
Yeah.
send it in, and then
The application itself is pretty straightforward, like a two-pager. Basic information about you. Who do you live with? What is your income? Why do you need this money? Are there other siblings who have received a Maega scholarship? Where are you applying? Do you have a job? What are your extracurricular activities? Those are essentially the first 2 pages of the application, but not end of story, because they need 2 letters of recommendation, they need proof of income, they need a personal statement, and they need a copy of their transcript. So something that started out as 2 pages often ends up 8 or 9 pages, seriously. So there's a heavy bit of reading that the scholarship committee has to look forward
through.
to. Yeah,
so it isn't just to look at, oh, okay, this is Johnny Gonzalez, yeah, we like him. This is
no,
yeah, okay.
no.
So
and
it
then,
takes a lot to
yeah,
go through all
and
that
then
stuff.
sometimes counselors, teachers, even though I admonish the kids, make sure you ask your teachers and counselors or whoever's going to write your letters, do not procrastinate. Get those things in ASAP. Don't wait, because I remember being a counselor at Torrey Pines High School, say, and kids would come at the last minute and, oh, Mrs. Grinstead, can you write me a letter? I go, yeah,
been here a week ago.
yeah,
Or a
yeah, at
month
least.
ago, or
So
2
don't
months ago.
don't procrastinate, because, we need these packets. And the sooner we get the packets complete, the sooner we can review them.
Okay. So are you seeing more students going into STEAM careers?
Yes, I saw that question, absolutely. In fact, I'm going, where are our teachers? We need more nurses, we need more physicians. That'll be taken care of if they're the science people. But so many kids are going into the math fields, the technical field, the T of STEAM is big time. So many kids are, well, what do you think you want to do? Well, I want to go in to be a tech person, and I want to code, and I'm going to work for a big company like Apple or Google.
And make lots of money. And
Yeah, I think that might be a driving force, but so many of the kids are going into the STEAM route.
The STEAM route.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Do you find that you're getting more scholarships now? Or have you, I mean, does the number keep going up, or does it stay the same, or you
My
have 10
ans-
every year or 100
No,
every
no,
year?
it was, I answered that question that you had proposed, that I would say it stays pretty steadily at 40 to 45 district-wide.
That you accept, or
you-
that you
That you
applications you get?
receive,
Oh,
that we
really?
receive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. I want to
Okay.
thank you both for coming and being with us today and talking about this. And the other thing I want to say is, if you're thinking about it, if you really think you want to do this, it's something that everyone can do. You've heard Anna and Linda say that there isn't a fixed amount. You don't have to give $10,000 unless you want it in your name and your name on the scholarship, and the student to know that you're the one that gave it. But any amount is freely accepted. You can go on to their website and look them up and find out how to contact them, which is how I got a hold of you guys, and start a scholarship fund. We used to, for my mom and dad. My gosh, I think the last one we gave out was about 40 years ago. But we did for a number of years after my dad passed away. So anybody out there that wants to do it can do it. There are other groups out there that are doing similar things, and it just depends on what you think or where you think you want your money to go, and to help what kind of students. So we thank you
Absolutely.
both, and we thank you for watching, and we hope that you'll come back and see more Pace of San Diego at your leisure. Thank you very much.